Now, new JP Morgan forecast, which I've got for you, which makes very disappointing reading, depressing reading, arguably. It starts with the unemployment question. It says it starts with an unemployment earthquake, and it extrapolates the numbers that we know from jobless claims and moves them into the real economy. So it says GDP in Q2 will fall an annualized 40%. Now, of course, it is not going to fall 40% in a year. That is a second quarter annualized. We need to emphasize this. Normally we wouldn't, but that's how it has to be. Unemployment will hit 20%, and it says if you take for the year overall, GDP for the year, this year, is now down 7%, and that's assuming a recovery in June. Mohamed El-Erian is the Chief Economic Advisor at Allianz. Mohamed is with me. Now, you've obviously seen these numbers. Do they seem about right to you? Bearing in mind, Mohamed, what we saw on the jobless claims, that sort of scant economic data that we have, but we can now read into more fundamental terms.
Richard, look, it's very difficult to be precise in this environment. It is an unprecedented environment, and a lot depends, like you just discussed, on the medical issues. But I think the message of this report is consistent with what I believe, which is this is a massive hit to the economy, much greater than during the Great Recession. Unemployment is already probably at 14 to 15%. And I feel we're going to head over 20%, which is double the rate of what we saw at the worst of the Great Recession.
Right. So with that in mind, Donald Trump, by the way, at the White House has just announced that he's going to start a commission, another task force looking at opening the US economy. You wrote an extremely good piece in which you talk about the difficulties of reopening, the difficulties between, say, the social experts, the health experts and the economic experts, the Faustian argument in many ways about when you can open the economy. What do you make of the latest thinking?
So I think the latest thinking on Wall Street is way too optimistic, even maybe naively optimistic. And it has three components. One, we can reopen the economy quickly. Two, it's going to be like flicking a switch. It's going to happen overnight, instantaneously, and the economy goes back to close to where we've been. And three, that there will be no scars over the longer term. I worry that all three of these assumptions are going to prove way too optimistic. It's going to take longer, it's going to be messier, it's going to be sequential, and we're going to live with the scars of this crisis for a while.
So this is all to do with the permanent loss of production, not just the amount that we lose whilst we've gone. Because as I believe your belief and theory, there will be a permanent loss. We will not return to the same level of production or the economic growth, never mind on an annualized or seasonal basis. But overall, there will be less economic cake. Is that your theory?
My theory is, A, we're not going to catch up what we've lost, and B, what I worry about a lot, and I think that hasn't been discussed yet, is we're going to be more indebted, less productive, and more deglobalized once we come out of this crisis. The post-crisis landscape is going to challenge us both economically and financially.